So, this is your presentation by Kip and myself on spiritual assistance. And the two of us have a training course, and we're in our second course, and we've just begun. So right now, let us put ourselves in the presence of God, who is always present, but sometimes we are not present. And I'd like to read to you a scripture that's very special to me. And it is from John 15. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you'll abide in my love, just as I kept my Father's commandments, and I abide in him. I've told you these things so that my joy may be in you, and your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love than this no man or woman has than to lay down her life for her friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I no longer call you servants, because the servant doesn't know what the Lord does. I've called you friends because everything I've heard from the Father I've made known to you. You haven't chosen me. I have chosen you. And I've designated you to go and bear fruit, and that fruit should abide. So whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give you. This is very special to me. And spiritual assistance is a vocational call. It isn't something you decide to do because it looks good. When I was at a national meeting, the scripture about you have not chosen me, I have chosen you, is particularly important to me because I was leaving my term as National Formation Director, and there was only one position I thought I would accept a nomination for, and that was International Counselor. It is the last position to be elected. So that if you don't get that position, you don't have a position, and that's fine. But if you miss minister or vice minister or counselor, you can be nominated for other positions. So as we were going along, people were elected, and then they were renominated for other positions. By the time it got to international counselor, there were a lot of people on the slate. So here I was reading my Gospels. I get to John 15, and it says, you have not chosen me, I have chosen you to bear much fruit, fruit which will endure. I took my Bible, shut it, and I knew I would be elected. It was one of those times when you hear the call. You know, God doesn't always give you such a direct call. And I was elected. I don't know whether you were at that chapter.
No, not that chapter.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. You see the Gospels here? One of the first assignments I give in class is for the candidates to get a set of Gospels and to go through and highlight every word of Jesus. Then I ask them to read it at least once a week, correct? At the end of the course, I ask them to write their own gospel, depending on what has come to them through reading the Gospels over a period of time. And it is the most amazing thing because with this new class, I got a new gospel, set of Gospels, okay? And I went through again and started doing it. And new things started popping out at me. So I think that the spiritual assistant has to be very aware that they have to keep their own ongoing formation ongoing. Because if you don't, you will become stale. And that is a real danger. So, before we begin, and I have begun with a prayer and with a scripture, why don't you introduce yourselves one at a time and tell us what region you're from or what province you're from and why you decided to come to this session. Do you want me to give you a few moments to think about it? We could start with Pat if Pat is ready.
I guess I'm ready. I'm Pat Sorokin. I am Minister of Lady Poverty Region, and I'm here for a couple of reasons. I wanted to meet Brother Andrew. He's not in the room here. But he was since he was appointed as our unconventional spiritual assistant from the province, I have had many phone calls, conversations with him, but had never met him in person. So that's one of the reasons I came. But I also wanted to come because of the opportunity to be with the friars and be with all of you to see what's going on and see how we can in our region be a part of it, facilitate the work.
I'm Mary Nelson. I'm the Regional Formation Director for Lady Poverty Region. And I came to this class on spiritual assistance because we too have talked about starting or hosting a spiritual assistant training course in our region. So just another piece of the puzzle.
Pardon me?
You're next. I know you're your turn.
Yes, I'm Donna Marie Kaminsky. I'm the Regional Spiritual Assistant appointed by the Capuchins for Blessed Maximilian Kolbe region. So I'm here as part of the planning committee. I also was given the responsibility to head up the formation component, and that's why I invited Mary and Pat to be here. But I'm also here for my own personal enrichment because, you know, I learned from everyone, all the participants. And so I love the opportunities to meet people from other regions and other fraternities and other localities. And they're an inspiration to me because of what they're doing and what their thinking process is. So I came to learn.
Oh.
I'm Ron Van Ness. I'm Minister of an Emerging Fraternity just outside of Annapolis. And I'm here to learn what spiritual assistants are doing and learn more about the roles and how we can relate and help each other.
I'm Mary Catherine Bebro. I'm Vice Minister at St. Anthony of Nagasaki in Washington, D.C. And I'm sitting here this afternoon because I want to know what the sort of heart and spirit of a spiritual assistant is, other than just the facts of, you know, you teach this and you do that, what it really means to be a spiritual assistant.
I'm Patrick Martin. I'm the Minister of St. Margaret of Cortona region. And in 2 weeks I will no longer be the Minister of St. Margaret of Cortona region. Not that I'm counting down the days, but 14 left. And I'm discerning what is next for me as a Franciscan. And I just started the class that Kip and Ann are teaching. And I'm discerning whether or not I could be a good spiritual assistant. And I'm here because it never hurts to kiss up to the teachers.
Good friars.
I'm Brother Alex. I'm from Washington, D.C. 3 years ago, our guardian asked if anybody would be willing to help Brother Al Carver with spiritual assistant he left for the deaf community. Not knowing any sign language or what a spiritual assistant was, I raised my hand. And so here I am. I'm helping him actually learn what I'm supposed to be doing these past 3 years.
Brother David Domansky, similar boat. I'm a classmate of Alex's, and one of the other fraternities that we assist out of Cap College is the St. Francis fraternity that meets at Cap College in DC every third Saturday. So Al Carver was also their spiritual assistant, and they asked if I could replace him when our guardian asked if I could replace him after he left. So yeah, it's been kind of a trial by fire. Learned what I can in these last 2.5 years, but I'm definitely excited. I've talked to Kip about attending the classes before, have to make that happen, but this is just an effort to, learn more about what I'm supposed to be doing as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ed Megan. I'm I'm the minister of the Alverno Fraternity in Conway, Pennsylvania. And I came to this meeting just to get some information about the spiritual assistants and their role and what we should look for.
I'm Michelle McFadden. I'm secretary of St. Alphonsus Fraternity in Wheeling, West Virginia. And I was here in October, and then I came back to see what other fraternities are doing and what we can take back and enrich our fraternity with.
I'm Brother Mike Rubis. I am the spiritual assistant for the St. Thomas More Fraternity in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I've been there for 6 years, and the former pastor said, Brother Mike, you're the spiritual assistant. I said, okay, I'll do it. But I've been learning that you always continue learning, ongoing formation in the ministry. So, happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, me. My name is Mike Cusant. I am at the St. Augustine Fraternity in Pittsburgh, and also function as the treasurer for the Regional Executive Council for Lady Poverty. And I pay Pat's bills, and next week...
My bills, the Regent's bills.
Just want to put that in. And I was here at the last meeting. I was really impressed with everything. So I'm aspiring to be a spiritual assistant. I want to hear all about it, and I want to be in Dawn Marie's class when she gets it together. So.
I'm Patty Bain, and I'm the treasurer for the St. Alphonsus Fraternity. And I'm here, frankly, because I met you yesterday, and I was very impressed, and I wanted to see what you had to say.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
I'm Donna Willard. I belong to Padre Pio Fraternity in Abington, Margaret of Cortona region. I am a spiritual assistant. My fraternity is up in York, Pennsylvania. I was on the first class with Brother Kip and Ann. And I'm here because I just always want to learn, continue to learn.
I'm Liz Buting. I'm a member of St. John's Fraternity in Center City, Philadelphia, the former formation director, and I am a participant in the spiritual assistant formation program for the St. Catherine Drexel region.
I'm Connie Weil, and I'm with St. Francis of Assisi's Deaf Fraternity. And I am here because, as you said earlier, you were talking your experience of how God chose you. And it seems like I'm always falling into what He wants, or at least He's trying to get me there. I want to just state that I had also, many years ago, I went through the spirituality program and became a spiritual director with the Jesuit community. And all these things that have happened in my life have seemed to lead me here. But the reason I say this wasn't my choice being in here is that I wanted our community that's here to have first choice what they wanted to, and I would fit in wherever else. Well, of course, spirituality, so I'm here.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And I do have a lot of opportunities where I communicate a lot with our people in our Catholic deaf community all over who have no one to really discuss their faith and everything. So I learn what I can. I know there's so much more to learn.
Oh, there's a lot. Well, you have in your hands, correct, a review of the statutes. Now, it's in the form of questions, but since we have a mixed group here, we have very experienced people, we have people who know very little, who came to learn about it. I'm going to change the wording a little bit, and instead of making it a question, I will make it into did you know, kind of a statement. How's that? Mm-hmm. And I'll say the first one, and someone may know. Do you know what entity authorizes the spiritual and pastoral care of the OFS fraternity to one of the 4 friar obediences. Do you know which entity that is?
The provincial. Provincial?
Actually, it's in the church.
The church, the bishop would do
The
it?
church itself. Our roll comes down and the church authorizes in each one of the obediences constitution. There is a place, there is a statute, let's see. Who has my statutes? I want to show you something. Do you have my statutes?
No. Right next to you.
I have, you know.
It really is very important that you know that in each one of the constitutions of the OFM, Conventual, Capuchin, and TOR, you are, the friars are, responsible to keep a vital reciprocity with secular Franciscans. Let's see where it is. I have it here. Well, I will read it to you later. Let's go on with it because there's a lot here. What is the common purpose of all Franciscans? Now, you would know this from our rule, and I'm going to give you a hint. It starts out to make present the charism of our
Lord Jesus Christ.
common seraphic Father in the life and the mission of the church. That is the common purpose of the Poor Clares, the friars, the sisters. That's our common mission. This is all in the constitutions. Would you like me to give you the article? Sure. Would that help? The first one is Article 1.1. And the second is Article 2.2. Let's go to the third. Are we going too fast? Do you have questions? You can ask questions. Now this is important. Is providing spiritual assistance to fraternities optional?
No, mandatory.
All right. Religious superiors must assure spiritual assistance to all the fraternities of the OFS. And that is Article 2.3. Now this is a lot to absorb. I'm reading this off to you, but you have to take time to think about that. You know, we have fraternities without spiritual assistance. And we would love to have friars, but there are not enough friars to meet our needs. So then we have to do what we have to do. We either get sisters who are willing and we hope are suitable and well prepared, or we train our own people. So this is why these courses are occurring, because all fraternities need to have spiritual assistance. All right. 4, do you know what the Ulceus Motoramen means? And what its purpose is? Any of our friars?
What was the question again?
It's number 4, the Ulceus Motoramen.
Oh.
It's threefold, but let me make a point here.
It's 5, no, it's
That's
five.
number 5.
Yeah, it's 4.
Skip 4.
You said 4.
It's 4. Did I say 5?
You said 4.
It is 5.
5 is supposed to be LPS
All LCS Motorama.
On the one that you handed out to us.
Oh, I have the wrong number. Well, I won't do that anymore.